Elon Musk here. I was looking at the fuel costs for my companies yesterday. Diesel prices jumped from 4.92 to 6.47 per gallon in just 3 weeks. You might think that's just oil prices bouncing around. It's not. It's your dollar dying in real time. And what's happening to fuel costs is happening to everything you buy. What I'm about to show you is happening right now, today. And by the time you finish watching this, you'll understand why the United States dollar is in a death spiral and what you must do in the next 72 hours. Not next month, not next week, today. Comment what state you're in right now. I need to see how widespread this is. And if everything you saved is in dollars, subscribe immediately because your life savings is becoming worthless while you watch TV. Here's what's actually happening on the world stage that your news isn't connecting for you. Last week, Saudi Arabia officially announced they will accept Chinese yuan for oil purchases. That sentence should terrify you. For 50 years, the only way to buy oil internationally was with US dollars. That's what made our dollar the world reserve currency. That's what gave it value. That system just ended. Brazil and China are now trading directly in their own currencies. Russia and India are settling trades in rupees and rubles. The BRICS nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are launching their own currency system in January. They represent 42% of the world's population, and they're abandoning the dollar completely. When I tell you the dollar is collapsing, I don't mean someday. I mean right now. Every time another country stops using dollars, the dollars in your bank account become worth less. It's not inflation, it's devaluation. There's a difference. And that difference will determine whether you eat or starve in 5 years. Let me show you what currency collapse actually looks like, because this isn't theoretical. This has happened before. Argentina. Their peso lost 90% of its value in 10 years. You know who got destroyed? Retirees. People who saved their whole lives in pesos. One day they had enough to live on. 2 years later, they were in poverty. Same money in the bank, different value, or worthless value. Venezuela. I watched this happen in real time. In 2014, a retired teacher there had the equivalent of 80,000 US dollars in bolivars in the bank. By 2018, that same amount bought 1 month of groceries. By 2020, it bought 1 loaf of bread. She didn't spend the money foolishly. The money just became worthless paper. Her life savings evaporated, not because she did anything wrong, but because the currency collapsed. Zimbabwe. I studied this case extensively. They had retirees with pension accounts, just like you have. When their currency collapsed, $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars couldn't buy a bus ticket. People who worked 40 years had nothing. Their paper money was literally worthless. Street vendors wouldn't accept it. And it happened in less than 5 years, from stable currency to complete collapse. You're thinking that can't happen here. We're America. We're different. That's exactly what Argentinians thought. That's what Venezuelans thought. That's what the Weimar Germans thought. Every single country that experienced currency collapse thought they were too big, too important, too established for it to happen. They were all wrong. Here's what makes the dollar collapse different and more dangerous than any collapse in history. Every previous collapse was a regional problem. When Argentina's peso died, people could still use dollars. When Zimbabwe's currency failed, they switched to US dollars. But when the US dollar collapses, there's no backup. It's the global reserve currency. When it goes, it takes everything with it. Right now, foreign countries are dumping US Treasury bonds at record rates. China sold $87 billion in bonds last quarter. Japan sold $42 billion. They're getting out. They see what's coming. When foreign central banks dump dollars, it means they don't want to hold them anymore. They don't trust them anymore. And they're racing to get rid of them before everyone else does. You need to understand the mechanics of how this destroys your savings. Let's use real numbers you can calculate yourself. You have $50,000 in a savings account earning maybe 0.5% interest. That's $250 a year. Meanwhile, real price inflation is running at 11%. That's $5,500 in lost purchasing power per year. But it gets worse. As foreign countries dump dollars, the dollar weakens against other currencies. Your dollars buy less imported goods. And 40% of what you buy is imported or has imported components. Your medications, many are made overseas. Your electronics, imported. Your clothes, imported. Your car parts, imported. When the dollar weakens, all of that costs more in dollar terms. Last month, I looked at the cost of importing manufacturing components for Tesla. The same parts that cost $1 million in January now cost $1,340,000. Same parts, same quantity, same suppliers. The only thing that changed, the dollar got weaker. That's a 34% increase in 9 months. Now apply that to your grocery bill, your medicine, your everything. Here's the part that should truly terrify you. This is accelerating. It took 2 years for the dollar to lose 5% against major currencies. It lost another 5% in the last 6 months. The curve is bending, the rate of collapse is increasing, and November's election, regardless of who wins, will accelerate it further because both sides will print more money to fund their promises. Let me tell you about Maria from Texas. She's 71 years old. Her husband died 3 years ago. He left her $400,000 in life insurance and savings, all in dollars, all in a bank account. She thought she was set for life. She calculated she could live on 25,000 per year for 16 years. Um, but Maria didn't account for currency devaluation. In the 3 years since her husband died, her 400,000 has the purchasing power of 290,000 in 2021 dollars. She didn't spend 110,000. She didn't lose it to bad investments. The currency devalued. Her money became worth less while sitting in the bank earning nothing. Maria called me crying last month. She's running the numbers and she's terrified. At the current rate of dollar devaluation, her money won't last 8 years, maybe 6. She's 71. She could easily live to 90. What happens for the last 12 years of her life? She played by all the rules. Her husband worked his whole life. They saved. They were responsible. And the currency collapse is going to put her in poverty anyway. This is happening to millions of seniors right now. And most have no idea. They see prices going up and they think it's inflation. It's not just inflation, it's currency collapse. The difference matters because the solutions are completely different. Here's what you need to understand about the global dollar dumping that's happening. When Saudi Arabia sells oil for yuan instead of dollars, those dollars that would have been used to buy oil, they're not needed anymore. They come back to America. More dollars chasing the same goods. That's inflation, that's devaluation, that's your purchasing power disappearing. The petrodollar system is what gave the US dollar its value for 50 years. The entire world needed dollars to buy oil. That created artificial demand for dollars. That demand is ending right now, in real time, this month. And when that demand ends, there are trillions of excess dollars in the world that nobody needs anymore. All of those come home. All of them make your dollars worth less. I've run the economic models. I've looked at historical currency collapses. I've studied what happens when reserve currencies die. And the pattern is always the same. It happens slowly at first. People don't notice. Prices creep up, but life continues basically normally. Then it accelerates suddenly. And by the time people realize what's happening, it's too late to protect themselves. We're in the acceleration phase right now. Go to your grocery store today, not tomorrow, today. Look at prices, write them down. Go back in 2 weeks, compare. You'll see 5 to 8% increases on basic items in 14 days. That's not normal inflation. That's currency collapse. Eggs, milk, bread, meat, all jumping week to week. That's the dollar dying. Your gas station. Look at the price today. Look at it Friday. It'll be higher. Look at it next Wednesday. Higher again. Not because oil is getting more expensive in real terms, because your dollars are worth less. Each dollar buys less oil, so you need more dollars to fill your tank. Here's what you need to do today. Not this weekend, not next week, today. Because every day you wait, your dollars are worth less, and the assets you should be buying cost more. First action, get out of pure cash positions immediately. I'm not saying have zero cash. I'm saying if 100% of your wealth is in dollar-denominated accounts earning nothing, you're guaranteeing loss. You're watching your wealth evaporate in real time. You need hard assets that hold value when currency fails. What are hard assets? Physical things that have intrinsic value regardless of what paper currency does. Real estate you own free and clear. Precious metals like gold and silver that you physically possess. Commodities. Things people need regardless of what the dollar does. Food, energy, tools. These hold value when currency collapses. Second action, if you're going to make any major purchase in the next 2 years, make it now. If you need a new roof, do it today. If your car is on its last legs, replace it today. If you need new appliances, buy them today. Because in 6 months, those items will cost 30 to 40% more in dollar terms. Not because they got more valuable, because your dollars got less valuable. I know a man named Thomas in Arizona. He needed a new HVAC system. Got a quote in June for $12,000, thought about it for 3 months, called back in September, same system, same company, $16,200. That's a 35% increase in 90 days. He waited and it cost him $4,200 more. Don't be Thomas. Third action, stock up on medications if you can. I'm not talking about hoarding. I'm talking about getting a 90-day supply instead of 30 days if your insurance allows it. Medication prices are going to spike because many are imported. When the dollar weakens, imported medications cost more. Get ahead of it. Fourth action, stockpile non-perishable food. Not because the food is going to disappear, because the price is going to make it unaffordable. A year's supply of rice, beans, canned goods costs about $1,200 today. In 18 months, that same supply might cost $3,000, and you'll need that food anyway. You're not spending extra. You're just spending now at today's prices instead of tomorrow at inflated prices. Fifth action, pay off high interest debt immediately. Credit card debt at 20% interest when the currency is collapsing is devastating because you're paying back in dollars that are worth less, but the interest keeps compounding. So if you have $5,000 in credit card debt, pay it off today, even if you have to use savings. That debt will destroy you in a currency collapse. Sixth action, if you own your home free and clear, do not take out a loan or reverse mortgage. I don't care what they offer you. When currency collapses, debt becomes dangerous. You want zero obligations, zero monthly payments, complete ownership of your essential assets. But here's the action that matters most. Seventh action, build a network of people in your community right now. When currency collapses, society doesn't end, but it changes. The people who survive are those with community connections, people who can barter, people who help each other. Start building those relationships today. Your neighbors, your church, local groups. These relationships become more valuable than money. I want you to understand something critical. I'm not giving you this information to scare you into buying gold or Bitcoin or moving to another country. Those might be strategies for some people, but that's not what most 70-year-olds need to hear. What you need is practical action you can take today that protects you from what's coming. The dollar collapse is going to hurt retirees more than any other group. You know why? Because you can't just go get another job. You can't pivot to a new career. You can't earn your way out of this. You're dependent on savings you already accumulated. When those savings lose value, you have no recourse. That's why this message is critical for you specifically. Your kids and grandkids, they're going to be okay, relatively speaking. They can work more hours, they can switch jobs, they can adapt. You can't. You're locked into fixed income. When that income buys less and less, you suffer. That's why you need to act now while you still can. Let me give you a historical parallel. In Weimar Germany, in the 1920s, they had currency collapse. The mark became worthless. People needed wheelbarrows full of cash to buy bread. You know who survived? The people who owned physical assets, the farmers, the people with land, the people with skills that didn't depend on currency, the people who had community networks. You know who got completely wiped out? Retirees with savings accounts, professional class people who had accumulated wealth in mark-denominated accounts, middle-class families who thought they were secure. All of them lost everything because they held paper currency that became worthless. The United States dollar is going through the same process right now, slower than Weimar, but the same pattern. And if you wait until it's obvious to everyone, you'll be too late. By the time your neighbors are panicking, all the hard assets will be bought up and expensive. You need to act while people still think everything's fine. Comment right now, acting today if you're going to take action, already prepared if you've already protected yourself, need help if you're not sure what to do. I need to see how many people are taking this seriously versus how many are going to wait until it's too late. Share this with every retiree you know. This information could mean the difference between security and poverty for them. The mainstream media won't tell them because they're funded by the same government that's destroying the currency. Someone has to tell the truth. Subscribe and turn on notifications because my next video shows you exactly which hard assets to buy first and how to buy them safely. You can't afford to miss it.